Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. I've got a couple pieces of content for you we're going to get to. I'm actually on my cross-country road trip. My whole family has already taken all of the cars to our next stop as we inch our way closer to Tennessee. Not moving too fast, though, because it looks like there's a lot of snow upon our destination we're heading to. So I'm going to try to get into some of this content before I got to jump in the truck. I will be live on Patreon right after this to put together the Afternoon Rush Hour podcast. We have a podcaster beef with Nick Viall and Scheana Shay. Vanderpump Rules versus Bachelor Winter Games, whatever the hell you want to call it. All right, so I'm going to get into all of this. But, and by the way, I will be live on Patreon. I got a weird 2-star review, in part because they're frustrated with how much I push my Patreon content. Well, the Patreon is a large percentage of our revenue stream. It's what helps fund these videos. If it weren't for the Patreon, I might not be making this video now. So be careful what you wish for and just enjoy the free content and all of the different ways we help fund that free content. Stick around for the end of this episode and I'm going to show you some merchandise that one of our audience members, Tracy, started. Proud fan of Dave Neal, some podcaster. Okay, so stick around for details on how to order some of that. But let's get back into this podcaster beef. Now, you might think, oh, Dave, you have an axe to grind with Nick Viall. Actually, after doing my judicial work here and studying very copiously, is that the way to do it? After studying the videos here and the podcast, I actually think Nick didn't quite cross any lines. But of course, we're going to get into this right now. It starts with a Us Weekly news article. They're the ones, Us Weekly's like the middle child, right? They're the ones that say, Mom, Billy did this. Mom, Tracy did that. It's like, okay, you just need some attention. Us Weekly wants that attention. Scheana Shay throws shade at Nick Viall by saying his fiance is literally on his payroll. Whenever you get spouses involved, here's what I've learned. It gets ugly real fast. But whose spouse was involved first? It looked like Nick's podcast, at the very least, discussed Scheana's spouse. Scheana and Brock are not here for Nick's publicly supporting negative comments about their marriage. Boy, that is one way to put it, right? I feel like I have been a subject in the last... Oh, you know what? Rather than read this boring article, let's listen to what they said. Then I'm going to play what I heard Nick say. I might be missing some information here as time moves fast in the podcast world. But of course, Scheana Shay, a very large and contributing member from Vanderpump Rules, one of my favorites. She's kind of like she's a real hustler in the sense that she's got friends on all sides. She's a little political, but I appreciate it. She's a people pleaser, very talented podcaster. And this is her very cute husband. Have a listen.
About Nick Viall's recent podcasts. I feel like I have been a subject on the last several episodes of his podcast because, I don't know, he has nothing else to talk about. He keeps bringing Charlie on. Katie and Dana just did an episode recently. But one thing I'll say is I actually, and maybe this was naive of me to think, but I actually thought Nick and I were friends. I've known him for years. I've got his phone number. We've done some social media things together.
Friends when he needs you, fodder for content when he doesn't.
I've guested on his podcast, and I actually thought we were friends. So Charlie referred to you as a payroll husband.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
And then on the next episode that Katie and Dana did, I think he referred to you as the payroll husband.
Now, this is where I have to object. We're going to play what was actually said on this episode. Actually, Natalie brought it up, but have a listen.
I mean, other than the reunion, she closed out season 10 like a fucking champ. I mean, that was
She put a bow on it, yeah.
an iconic scene.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
she...
So here you have Nick actually complimenting Scheana Shay. But, of course, like any good compliment from Nick, it comes with barbs attached.
Some might argue that Scheana, God bless her, has a history of being a bit of a pick-me.
So, I mean, gosh, get into politics. Some might argue, Nick, is she a pick-me girl or not? And I don't like that term because it's like she's trying her best to jockey for a position on a reality show where every contestant on the reality show is fighting to get stage time in any different way. Does that make her a pick-me girl, or does that mean she's sort of learning how to survive in a very hostile environment?
And that scene that she had with Tom was like finally, Scheana.
Yeah.
Here you are standing up on the right side of right for the girls, so to speak, saying the right things. And are you suggesting that maybe that might come across in season 11 as potentially disingenuous because at the end of the day, she's just going to miss her friendship with Tom, and because Tom, according to you, isn't, holding himself accountable, that Scheana will find ways to make excuses as to why it's now okay to be friends with Tom, even though he hasn't actually demonstrated any type of actual contrition.
Now, if you have no idea what they're talking about, it's the Tom Sandoval scandal. And if you haven't caught up on this, don't walk over to Vanderpump Rules and catch up on last season. It's a very fascinating and high drama show. You might have to have like an edible, take a microdose gummy before watching because you're going to get triggered because it's pretty wild. But either way, it's important for this conversation because Nick's show right now does a pretty good job of covering what went down with Tom Sandoval because he cheated on his longtime girlfriend and it disrupted all of their friend groups where everyone wanted to take Ariana's side, but Scheana showed real emotions that you can still be friends with someone you hate. You can still be friends with someone who does something that bad.
When it comes to his behaviors,
A little bit, yeah. And it gets like confusing because she also has a very long, history and friendship with Ariana as well. So it's like, to me, I think if you are feeling stuck or
Okay, no mention yet of the payroll comment.
feel like you have to like make a choice or something, I think you rely on your integrity.
Yeah, I think the guiding light there is if you have two friends that something really malignant happens and you have to choose who's in the wrong, who was done dirty, point blank, period.
Yeah.
They're saying you have to, and again, this is a side argument here, but they're saying you have to choose what side you want to be on when other friends did something wrong. I actually disagree. I think you can walk and chew gum. I think you can support Ariana, and you can also support Tom Sandoval, who did a very bad thing. Is he redeemable? Did he ever fully understand how bad it is, what he does? I don't know, but I actually see true friends as those that support others, even if they do something so bad. But, you can still, and again, some people might disagree with this. Now, if there's a pattern of behavior on, over and over, again, that's when you have to look at the people you surround yourself with. Absolutely. But to think that you can only support one or the other in a very complicated scenario where they're all on the same reality TV show, I don't know. That doesn't make for interesting TV to me.
I think that's like, not saying that it doesn't hurt when you have a friendship breakup and there's a lot of history. I totally get that. I totally get needing to forgive, but repurposing someone in your life isn't necessarily the solution, particularly if it, and I'm not speaking for Ariana, but if it made someone else feel some kind of way.
I mean, it's also like, didn't she bring
All right, come on. So
point blank, period.
Yeah.
I think that's like not saying that it doesn't hurt when you have.
We're getting to the comment that Nick doesn't make, but Natalie makes it is the point. She's the one who actually rehashes the payroll comment.
Necessarily the solution of.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that how, so it's like, how are you now kind of turning on her in a way?
Are Brock and Tom like besties?
I don't think they're like besties, but they definitely have a
relationship.
Yeah.
Charlie called him a payroll husband.
She has been calling him that. Yeah.
Listen, guys, I don't know who Charlie is, but we have Natalie here laughing. If anything, Scheana should have beef with Natalie versus Nick. But Nick did bring up, and again, we're getting real picky here. If we're looking for any evidence, Nick did bring up Brock and saying, are Brock and Tom friends? Probably trying to find out if there's any sort of other reason why Scheana would want to be with Nick, with Tom, as friends. Okay, so that's all I got. That's all. I mean, if you're wondering, Dave, what the hell did I just watch? That's all I got. And by the way, get that. I'm so sick of people with papers in their hands. It annoys me so much. That's one of the things that annoys me the most is this like shuffling of papers that they do. Scheana's got her little note cards here. Just like, I don't know. Maybe in today, everyone's trying to look like David Letterman. It's a podcast. Just talk.
So I'm like,
So Scheana essentially has a little bit of a faulty memory, unless there's more to it here. She should be more upset at Nick for calling her a pick-me girl than saying Brock's on the payroll. And what does that mean? He's on the payroll? It's kind of like a weird insult to make, like, oh, he's living off of you, which again, is fair to do. You're in a relationship. Some people make more money than the others. My wife is no longer bringing in money. She's pregnant and we're having a baby. She's not going to be going back to her job. So that doesn't mean she's a payroll wife. Even if I put her on the payroll and made her a producer and she helps me make some content or whatever, it's like, well, she's just contributing to the team. That's fine. It's fine if Brock does that. It's fine if Natalie does that.
let's break this down. What does that mean? Does that mean that I pay you to be my husband? That I treat you like an employee? That I earn more money than my husband? Because yes, that's true. That's not a secret. And also, I don't see what's wrong with earning more money than my husband. I feel like it seems a bit misogynistic that the woman can't be the breadwinner.
My wife made more money than I did the first 7 years of our relationship. I still have jokes about it. I say I'm a feminist because my wife makes 4 times as much money as I do. I can't afford any other opinion at this time. Toxic masculinity, not on my budget. Come on.
A family, because support comes in so many forms when it comes to a family. Financial support is just one of them. You support me and this family in so many ways that I wouldn't be able to do as much as I do, even with this podcast. And
yeah, like in today's world, especially with the freelance world and creativity and podcasting, your company is your relationship. So Scheana's bringing in the sales. She's bringing in the money because she's on camera. Maybe Brock's HR. Maybe he's helping out with the chef, Maybe he's picking up the kids at the pool, So it's a little more complicated. But again, she's also mad at a faulty premise where I don't think Nick was actually calling him a payroll husband. But Nick was also, if you're friends with Scheana, you probably wouldn't let those words fly without defending her.
Have the freedom of changing schedules and all of that if I didn't have you at home as much as you're able to be, to work from home, to support me in that way. So that really irked me when also his fiance is literally on the payroll. So I'm like, that's kind of rich coming from you. But
it didn't come from him.
What do you want to say about that?
Fight.
Well, I feel like the comment from Charlie was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Still trying to find out who Charlie is. Will someone in the comment section please let me know?
see where she would get the term payroll husband. First off, again, I'm the only member of your family that's not on the payroll.
That's actually true. That is actually true because not my dad. My dad's not on the payroll either. But mom,
in that context. But it's all because you're we're higher within. Not a problem with that. I think it comes from just my my unwavering support for you, right? So what do you want to do? My schedule is second to yours, and it's not the fact that it's because we're a family. Okay. And I don't think she understands that concept. Mm-hmm. Whereas I have had a career. I was a professional athlete. I went down to San Diego. We had the gyms. We met through the pandemic. We ended up moving up here. And so there was a great opportunity to sell our business. Doesn't mean I don't have other things going on as well, but it just means, and you're right. I'm confused on this because I'm a male. I cannot support my wife and let her be the main breadwinner. That's my first one to it.
So it sounds like they have more beef with Charlie than with Nick, but it's a very fascinating conversation about priorities in life. And Brock, I mean, in this scenario, it's like he doesn't have an ego. Some people do. So I need to bring home the bread. I need to be the breadwinner. It's like, all right, we're carb free, honey. But yeah, I mean, it can come in different ways. If my wife was absolutely killing it on TikTok, I would say, okay, let's do whatever we can to make sure you're making TikTok videos. That means I'll go walk the dog. I'll do all these. I'll do the laundry. I'll order the lunch. You just make TikToks. You put that coal in the fire.
Ultimately, for Charlie, I'm like, if she can say whatever she wants, that woman threw a drink at my friends. at
And-
a club at Delilah.
Yeah.
She got upset with our friend for having your back, saying,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to talk about my friend like that for me, as she was giving her a warning.
Mm-hmm.
And then she proceeded to have her full glass, throw it,
One of those heavy glasses too.
throw
The
a
nice
Collins
ones.
glass at her, miss her, hit her husband. Okay.
Mhm.
And for me, that's like the last kind of interaction we've had with her.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, Charlie, like, I get it. You're going through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I'm not gonna, and like, whatever. And then her follow up one was like, yeah, he tried to like evaluate me. And I was like, listen,
Yeah, she said that when we were at Brad's birthday party.
we're at a mutual friends party. I turned the corner and I walked into you guys. It wasn't like I walked up to you guys looking for a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into you guys.
All right, so they go on and on about Charlie. Who the hell is Charlie? Charlie's not doing the upcoming season of Vanderpump. Here she is on the right. I do remember Charlie, but again, look, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. You might come in, Dave. How can you not know who Charlie is? Okay, are you kidding me? I'm trying. Okay, Dunbar rule. I can only know 200 people at a time. So every time I meet someone else, every one of Jane Doe's victims I meet, I forget about a Charlie. Which, by the way, join the Patreon if you haven't already, because my next video is going to be a private live stream where we discuss some new evidence coming forward in the Jane Doe Clayton Echard paternity scandal. It's absolutely wild. And link below if you want to buy any of this merchandise. Proud fan of Dave Neal, some podcaster. We've got champion style crew neck sweatshirts. It can be on a t-shirt, men's or women's, comes in different sizes. Baby's bib. Maybe your baby's a fan of mine. I know we got some babies out there. Shout out to all of our infants who are listening, whether it's their choice or not. Maybe you're breastfeeding and they're like, all right, well, he'll do. We'll listen to him. That's Dada. All right, Dada out. Okay, folks, I'll be back with at least one more video today. It might be from the road, and I've also got a podcast on the way. We'll have more entertainment news and all the other jazz right after this.